Why hasn't the F1 come back to India after 2013?
Lewis Hamilton has mentioned that around 1,300 people are working behind the car.
$45 million is just for making two cars for
Yeah.
per season.
I believe that India had one of the finest circuits in the world, the Booth circuit.
There's a very famous photograph of Sebastian Vettel bowing down to his
Yeah.
car. Right? That was actually taken in Booth.
It's a French term basically. It's the Fédération Internationale Automobile.
So what happens in beyond budgeting? It's a more proactive approach rather than the old traditional budgeting.
ATA carnet. So it's like people moving from one country to another. We use the passport. So it's kind of a passport for these cars. So if they're having an ATA carnet, then they could transport without paying customs
Full duty, right?
Yeah.
This sport may be hosted in different countries across the globe. So that transportation and logistics part really matters.
Indian government, thanks to Indian government, they have treated it as a entertainment rather than a sport.
Certain brands like
Yeah.
the Rolex and the
Tissot.
Omega, Tissot, they only comes to this particular sport,
Yeah.
to the Formula One, to the golf.
Taxation is the biggest challenge the Indians are facing.
We'd like to take you on a ride behind the track. Hi all, welcome back to FinChats, where we discuss about the importance of financial management across the world. So today we'll be talking about a sport which has been termed as the Billionaires Boys Club. Yes, it's Formula One. You might be familiar about the glamorous part of Formula One, or maybe the racing part of Formula One, or maybe even the engineering part of Formula One. But you might not be familiar about the financial management or costing or accounting part of Formula One. So today, during this discussion, we'd like to take you on a ride behind the track about the costing and accounting, the logistics part of Formula One, even why Formula One hasn't come back to India after 2013, I guess. I think we'll start on with the discussion.
Yeah, so I guess everyone is familiar with the adrenaline part of the Formula One, what they see on the track.
Yeah.
But I don't think many are familiar with what is happening behind the tracks.
We have just seen the movie Rush, right?
Rush, yeah, exactly. So I guess in an interview, Lewis Hamilton has mentioned that around 1,300 people are working behind the car. So imagine
Including
all
all
these
engineers
people,
and everything.
yeah, all these mastermind engineers working behind this car. How efforts that need to be catered to developing the car. So there are various other aspects also like financial management, financial planning. So I think we can talk more about the financial side rather than the engineering side.
Yeah, that's what.
And again, linking this Formula One to India, I believe that India had one of the finest circuits in the world, the Booth circuit, and I believe that it was never returned back after its first race or
2013.
something.
There's a very famous photograph of Sebastian Vettel bowing down to his
Yeah.
car. Right? It was actually taken in Booth.
Yeah, and it was told that it is generally believed that the financial difficulties faced by the Formula by implementing it over India led to their quitting from this particular this sport.
Okay. So then let's buckle up and go for the financial
Yeah, for the
spin around the track.
I think for the first ride, we'll start about the costing and accounting part of Formula, which is actually the base for everything. I mean, even Formula One or even it's a regular business owner. So I think enormous amount of money would be involved in, first of all, preparing the car and for the race, right?
Yeah. So every team, they have a huge budget. So imagine, as I mentioned earlier, imagine paying off these 1,200 to 300 engineers for making these cars.
Yeah,
They are all the world's best engineers. So I guess the cost for making each car is around $20 million. And this is not even considering the marketing or planning, travel, etc.
Oh.
So, as you might have seen the movie Ford versus Ferrari, in that movie, the Ferrari was focusing on making the fastest car that the world has ever seen. But at last, what happened was Ferrari got bankrupt, and I think Ferrari was sold to Fiat, right?
Yeah, I think after that Ferrari came back as a standalone company from 15, 16.
So it's a standalone company now.
Right now.
But on the other side, the Ford, what they did was that they were focusing more on the production side, and they wanted to promote their cars through this F1. So that was like an advertisement. So they used their fundings, everything. They managed the fundings very efficiently.
probably maybe because of this rushes or race that resulted in this capping of the total cost for the entire Formula One.
Yeah.
Like the regulative, let's say the board, the head of the sport, the International Federation of for Automobile. It's called as the
FIA, right?
yeah. It's a French term basically. It's the Fédération Internationale Automobile.
Oh.
That's the body which governs the Formula Series. So they came with a cost cap of $145 million, right? It was
$145
dollars,
million.
yeah. It was $145 million for a team and for a season.
Oh.
So it's like and the amazing fact is that is just for the car and for the conduct of the sport, but not including the driver's cost,
Driver's salary,
the driver's
the logistics
salary,
part, yeah.
the
So
the
that's-
crew cost, nothing. I mean, apart from that, the 145 capped exactly on the car and the conduct of the sport.
So basically,
One-
$145 million is just for making 2 cars
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
per season.
Yeah, it's like
India could have
2
made a-
cars for
India
a
could have
team
made-
for the race, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
India could have made a rocket with that amount, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
PSLVs and all
Yeah,
like
usually India launches
It's much
rockets
cheaper.
as less than that
Yeah.
cost.
Yeah.
When you can think it this way, that's a rocket that's going to space. This is a rocket that is going
Exactly,
to the
yeah.
Ah, that's it.
So it's not all about the speed. I think it's all going through the corners.
Yeah.
So that's what matters. So they
Yeah.
need the perfect engineering. And this cost capping is very much necessary according to my belief. If the cost cap was not there, many of the big corporates, the global international companies, they could have used this forum to whitewash their money.
Yeah.
So
They could
they
channel
could
the
ru-
funds, right?
yeah, they could channel the illegal funds through this Formula One, and they could always get a good source of income
Oh,
as a
there's
legal.
this aspect to it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, that's
mean-
very. I think that is a new information.
Yeah,
to me.
I don't. I'm not saying that it is happening,
But
but
that's
it's
also
just my
always a
assumption.
chance,
Yeah.
that's true. I mean,
If there is an opportunity, then definitely people
yeah,
can
keep
misuse
it.
it.
I
Yeah.
mean, the thing is, I mean, with this cost cap, there's been a sporting crux into this industry, right? I mean, earlier it was just, billionaires boys club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now it's like by capping that, earlier if Mercedes obviously has more funds than Lotus. So if there is no capping, they can always come up with the biggest cars and the fastest cars.
It was like whoever spends more was going to win the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the FIA came with this capping and as you said, it brought more of the sports essence to
Yeah.
the game.
It's demanded more engineering and also finance also.
Finance.
So it's all a matter of how, as of now, since they have made this cost cap, it's all a matter of strategically designing like where they should allocate these funds
Yeah.
and how they should. I think maybe what they intend is that giving a certain percentage of the budget to allocating for the R&D of the car, or maybe others may think of including maybe giving it for the pit crew and all those other stuff.
So it's more like running a business, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as we being a virtual CFO for multiple companies across the world, it's like allocating the funds according to a budget.
Exactly. So when you think about budget in this latest perspective, I think because they have to take strategic decisions and they have to manage it very well within that 145 million. So imagine 2 cars. I don't know the technical side of it, but I think that they have to be efficiently, because everybody is having this 145 million.
Yeah.
How you utilize is very crucial for the race and how you win the prize money, right?
True.
Yeah.
How you achieve that final.
That's
Yeah.
how we win the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
basically.
Exactly. So what the basic budgeting systems that we can, the new budget, maybe the new budget approaches like the beyond budgeting, I think the concepts can be very much imbibed here, and they can very much use this budget
Yeah.
beyond budgeting. It's all about what I heard a recent quote that said like the budget is knowing where the money went rather than knowing where the money should go rather than wondering where the
went.
money went.
Money, yeah.
So it's basically as small business owners and people like small business owners, we in the traditional approach, what we used to do, we used to take the amounts, set the standards or budgets.
It's like a postmortem of
Yeah.
the
Exactly.
the
It's a-
entire
Based on
occurrence.
prehistoric data, right?
It's a reactive approach rather than a proactive approach.
Yeah.
So what happens in beyond budgeting? It's a more proactive approach rather than the old traditional budgeting. What happens here is that so many techniques are new techniques are used, as in they use the rolling forecast, as in it is done in a more frequent timing. It's earlier it used to be in annually or maybe a specific timing, or for the project after the project, like right after the project is completed, then only the review is happening. But here what happens is it is happening in a day to day, as in maybe it's weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, like that. The intervals is shortened here. So what they can do is that forecast is being done in a timely manner. They can adapt to the change very quickly.
Yeah.
And also the decentralization there's a decentralized leadership happening here. So what happens is that the operating managers and the other management participants can be allocated the budgeting work also, so they are also included in this budgeting.
Yeah.
So that creates a sense of
ownership,
they
involvement
get
in
the
the
sense of inclusion.
so that is a very positive attribute to the. So it's like I am contributing to the society, and I'm contributing to my office. So that gives me a sense of attaining the goals, right?
Yeah, and again that will add to the sense of the staff line to comply more with the budget.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
they are, it is a case where they are responsible for for the duties that they are actually looking into.
Yeah.
So they'll be more compliant in the sense that they'll take care of the budgets by themselves.
Exactly.
And adding one more point to that, being proactive considers various other market elements outside the company,
Yeah.
that is happening outside the countries, maybe something beyond our control. So taking regular intervals and budgeting and changing the budgets according to that is a very good plan. That business has
as you
that.
said, it's not just the forecast.
Yeah.
It's the business world. In this business world, it's very fast moving. It's changing with different attributes. It's changing, like rapidly changing
Yeah.
with dynamic effect.
Yeah.
So it is important, and it is very vital that you have to be up to date with the things. And even as chartered accountants, or even as professionals, we have to be up to date with the daily means
Yeah.
whatever the updates are coming, right?
Yeah.
So we have that CPA system and all those things. So like that in the business world, when the dynamic changes are happening, beyond budgeting is a very important tool. I feel that beyond budgeting is a very important
True.
tool that moves the
Business forward.
that enables the business to adapt to changes very quickly.
Yeah.
So-
And
So-
adding to one more point,
Yeah.
so having a very good budget is another point. So most of the startups, what they are facing is the issue of aligning with the budget. So sticking on to the budget is another aspect that they have to concentrate on. Just preparing a budget is not enough. They have to stick on to the budget, as you told. The involving the employees, make them contribute more to achieving the budgets. That is another point they have to focus on, and they have to analyze various departments, how the fund is going on, and bottlenecks. Yeah.
And again, the startups, as Alan said, like they are all still following the traditional approach. Like they'll place forward a budget for a 6 months or a 1 year period, and they wait for the events to happen, then go to the end of the year and then have a look at the bag, what actually happened. Then they realize that okay, this shit has happened.
So
So that's the
basically-
case with the traditional budgeting.
So basically, nobody plans to fail, but fails to plan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's the thing.
So coming back to Formula One, I think the introduction of cost cap has, introduced importance of financial management
Yeah.
in a more effective manner.
So
actually.
the performance on the track is not enough. Being able to perform with the financials is another aspect that
Yeah.
we have to
And
look
especially with the introduction of this capping and all this budgeting and the financial planning has got more relevance.
Relevance,
Like
that's
now it is supposed to be a balance between the engineering as well as the finance
Finance
thing.
plan.
Yeah.
So now let's move on to something which is less flashy, but which is still significant. Ruben, like carrying on the conversation, I was recalling the main concept behind Formula One, the transportation and the logistics part. Coming to the game, like there is a lot more of things happening behind the Formula One. It's not just about the drivers, stars, or the race. The other significant, the elements behind the game is about the transportation and the logistics part, and I believe that it's not just a simple game. Like it's not like driving a car from a point to the other place. It's about the game, the sport may be hosted in different countries across the globe. So that transportation and logistics part really matters. So Matthews, the question is to you basically, like how is this transportation and logistics things actually works out when it comes to the Formula One game?
So yeah, as you said earlier, it is a logistical masterpiece if you consider it as such, because Formula One season is about 9 months, 9 to 10 months. It starts from Feb or March, and it goes till November to December. So imagine that much months, 9 to 10 months, and 24 races. 2024 they have 24 races. So it's usually 23 to 25 races in a year. So 20 in a season. So imagine that amount of time and these many races,
That's
and
like
they have
2
to
to 3 races per month, right?
exactly 2 to 3 races per month.
So
And
that means it's a race behind the.
Yeah,
So
it's a
logistics is
logistical
also a
race.
kind of race.
Yeah,
exactly.
Race is not only in the track.
track.
Yeah.
So they have to move almost as Ruben said 2 to 3. So it's basically nearby. Maybe it's nearby. Maybe they have to fly away for the a nearer area. Earlier,
I think it was already conducted in Singapore. So
Yeah.
now it is
I
going
think
to
next
be
month it's going in
in
Qatar, right?
next month it's going to be happening in Qatar.
and,
And I guess
they are
now it's
ending with
happening in US.
ending with.
So I think
Dubai.
it's area wise they are covering in. They are moving on to America, downwards Brazil,
Yeah.
and then they're moving
So
to
it might be
Qatar,
different
Middle East.
according to the distance. It can be seaways, it can be carrier ways.
Exactly. It sometimes differs actually. Maybe the first thing it might be in US. Okay.
Yeah.
So after that, it might go to Mexico City.
Oh.
So maybe they can connect it to the trucks.
Trucks.
Other than that, then after Mexico City, they're going to Brazil. So another country that's like going to Latin America. So that's a flyaway. Means that is a flyway zone.
Yeah, no.
So what basically happens is that they use a combination of all those freights, like sea freight, air freight, and all those trucks and all. Maybe you have seen that Cars movie, right?
Yeah.
The comic that we used to.
There he gets lost actually.
Huh?
There he gets lost.
There the trucks get lost, but that's what they do. They take the cars and the trucks, and also you can see that sea freight that they have specialized sea freight. They have specialized air freight for transporting the goods.
Oh.
It's basically taking almost 50 tons. I think 50 tons of cars, spare
50
parts,
tons.
tools from across the globe, and within this short span of time. Imagine that.
I mean, there's something interesting in this. I mean, so you told us, right? I mean, including the cars, the spare parts, everything is going across the world, right? So is it actually import and export?
Yeah, technically yes, because the goods and equipments, all these, as Matthew has already mentioned, these are moving from one country to another. But imagine the situation in India. So
Yeah.
if you are importing a foreign car, then it will be like around double the cost.
Yeah.
The customs duty alone
It's
costs the double.
173.
170 plus
3%
cost.
right?
170 plus percentage.
I think
Yeah,
customs
believe
duty
it's
alone
from-
is
it
100%.
Yeah,
ranges
it's
from 100% to 173%
Yeah.
is the customs
So
duty on
imagine
luxury cars.
It's
at
actually
20
the cost. I mean, when it comes to India, it'll be the cost of the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, so imagine a 20 million car being the customs duty on top of 20 million cars. So it's like 40 million. The car alone costs 40 million. So
million, yeah.
how expensive? With the cap of 145 million,
Yeah.
how can they meet the
Okay,
target?
so that's another rocket that we could have launched, right?
yeah. So another thing they have come up with is the ATA carnet. So it's like people moving from one country to another. We use the passport. So it's kind of a passport for these cars. So if they are having an ATA carnet, then they could transport without paying customs
Full
duty.
duty, right?
Yeah.
No, that's actually new. That's actually
Yeah,
new.
and it's like hearing this, I feel like the entire game of Formula One is now being turned to a trade affair. Like
International trade,
yeah,
yeah.
it seems like an international trade thing. Like because the commercial element, the import and the export stuff when it comes to the scene, and this ATA carnet thing, like it's a concept. Am I right, Alan? It's a concept to claim duty benefits, right?
Yeah.
Like
It's not claiming duty benefits. It's not paying the tax.
I think
It's just
not
like
paying
a-
full duties actually.
Okay.
There is
So
some exemption. in
it's
it.
like a rebate or something. So that technique is there. So literally, it's now turning into a trade affair with the taxes
Yeah.
coming to the game. Yeah.
It's more like now it's logistical race. It's tax race.
Yeah.
Every
See,
race is coming
yeah,
into the
see
picture,
how
right?
finance and tax is at all
Yeah, I mean,
times
the
linked to
importance
the
of
game.
finance
Yeah.
and taxation
yeah.
in this is huge. I think.
Actually, finance is the backbone for everything. For football, for
Football,
F1,
everything.
for
I
everything.
mean, like even if it's an individual or being it any event, any event for sale,
Yeah, but at the end of the day, money matters, right?
money matters. Yes. I mean, now let's talk about something all the fans in India might want to hear about. Why hasn't the F1 come back to India after 2013?
I guess F1 was conducted from 2011 to 2013,
yeah.
right? And as you had mentioned, Sebastian Vettel has bowed down on the track.
Famous photo, yeah.
And there were many fans for the circuit, I guess.
Actually, the circuit is actually great. But I think it's privately owned by JP or JC Group,
Yeah.
I think.
But the problem was, I think, it was the taxation, as always. Taxation is the biggest challenge the Indians are facing.
Facing.
It's not complicated for us. That's why we are here.
Hello, did anyone go for the? I have not been to a Formula One
mean,
race, but have you ever been to
Our
one?
school friend actually had
Yeah,
gone.
Ashwin.
Ashwin Bharat
Right?
actually had
Yeah.
gone. I think in 2011, I think.
I think we could also go.
Was it
in Qatar.
expensive? Is it very
Yeah,
really
he had
expensive?
to pay actually 75,000 rupees for that seat.
Oh.
I think it's a VIP, VVIP seat, but I think he had to pay about 75,000 rupees for that.
Oh, sure. Okay. Indian government, thanks to Indian government, they have treated it as a entertainment rather than a sport.
Yeah.
So we'll think that it's a sporting event, right? Formula One is a sporting event, but no, Indian government has classified it as a entertainment event
yeah.
rather
It's
than a sporting
entertainment
event.
for us, but
Yeah.
it's not entertainment for, the Formula One people.
No, it's actually a sporting event. If
Yeah,
you
that's
look
what-
at the general sense of it, it's a race.
Yeah.
It's a race. So there's something competitive happening there. So I don't know. There's a thin line of difference.
But
really.
unfortunately, it got classified under entertainment, right?
Yeah, that is
So-
exactly why there is higher tax rates for entertainment.
Yeah,
means
it, it's like the very basic nature of the government to levy taxes is like they charge more on the entertainment
Yeah.
rather than when it goes to the business and profession. It's different. We have the slabs, different rates of taxes for different slabs. It's there in the business and profession. But when it comes to entertainment, let's say when we look into the very basic,
Yeah.
the gifts. Or the
Gift tax,
lottery,
it's flat 30,
yeah,
right?
yeah, the flat 30 plus surcharge as things comes to the game when it is treated as a luxury or
Yeah, got it.
basically the entertainment also got that particular label and it was treated as entertainment
Yeah.
as said
Yeah.
by Matthews.
So treating it as an entertainment resulted in higher taxes for like even the small from the sales, ticket sales to the transportation of and importing of the cars. So imagine in every aspect of the race where the revenue is generated, the tax are being being slapped on them. Imagine that. So
they
that's
have the huge tension of transportation, logistics, and still they have to be tensed about the taxation.
So
It's
that's
really
like
complicated.
logistics race, financial race, and also the tax race is
Taxation.
coming
No
on.
wonder they haven't come back. I mean, it's a real shame that they haven't come back. Actually, I mean, the market potential India has. I think according to the latest survey, after before the pre-COVID era and after the COVID era, I think there was a surge of about 36 to 40% in the viewership. So just imagine the amount of revenue they could have actually achieved. I mean, even it's a revenue for Indian government also if just classified as sport.
Yeah,
It's a real-
Maybe tax them less, but still get the tax,
yeah,
right?
that's what.
But
Indian
is the-
economy could have benefited a lot
I think they're
from this.
planning to
yeah,
instill-
I was about to say that,
that-
there's a kind of delayed realization from the government side. I guess there's some
we
kind
guess,
of
we hope it's
some kind of proposals have been raised in Gujarat or Ahmedabad
in Gift City.
in Gift City,
Yeah.
right, for a new circuit and all.
We
And-
hope it's true.
Yeah, and if that's the case, it's like again the race is back to the track.
Yeah, I mean, majority in I think the younger generation, including the female audience, it's very much popular right now. Significantly because of there's a series in Netflix called Drive to Survive.
F1,
It
yeah,
has
and
been-
movies also. F1 movies
Mo-
coming.
yeah.
The Brad Pitt
Brad
movie,
Pitt one,
Brad
yeah.
Pitt's movie is coming.
So we
So-
hope it's coming back to India. in
Maybe
time.
Yeah.
we hope if it's coming in Gujarat, we could also attend the F1 race. Yeah.
And one fun fact related to this particular formula is whether it be in Booth circuit or in wherever it may be held. Like the thing is like we started the session. I am just recalling that we started the session by naming it as the Billionaires Boys Club.
Billionaires Boys Club. And
Yeah.
it was termed by, I think, Lewis Hampton itself. I think
Oh.
I read it somewhere. I mean, he only started calling it Billionaires Boys Club.
Oh, I
because he
thought
was-
the Billionaires Club will be like golfing or something like that.
Yeah, golf and tennis. It
golf
was
is
always
like-
about
That's usually the sports that
Yeah.
golf is actually a rich man's game.
rich man's
Yeah.
game.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So what I was about to say is like, have we ever noticed that certain brands like
Yeah.
the Rolex and the
Tissot.
Omega, Tissot, they only comes to this particular sport,
Yeah.
to the Formula One, to the golf, and since we are talking about Formula One, the relevancy for Formula One, so they are actually into this Formula One. So. I was just realizing the fact that why it was so like it
It's
was
the
the
target
Billionaires Boys
audience.
Club.
The
Yeah.
target
Yeah.
audience. I think that it's their marketing focusing, the advertising is focused on the target audience. Maybe they're checking in for the premium clients only.
That's what I mean.
That's right.
For example, football is actually called everyone's game. So the companies who's coming to market in football might be like Sony, like
Yeah.
whatever everyone, most of the people can buy. Basically, the middle class can.
Common
buy.
man's
Common
brand.
man's game. It's also called common man's game.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. I mean,
So this is a billionaires club, right?
yeah.
So only the
To
big
add
teams
on to
will
that,
come.
I think Lewis Hamilton called this Billionaires Boys Club, right? I think he was he is actually the first and the only black racer in Formula One.
African
Oh,
American
that's
race.
interesting.
That's interesting. I mean,
Yeah, so speaking about taxes, we were talking about how the goods and equipments are being taxed, how the import export kind of. So now let's talk about the drivers' earnings. So obviously the F1 drivers, they might be earning huge because
yeah.
it's a billionaire sport. Obviously they will be earning millions,
Millions, right.
at least millions. Yeah. So I
don't
guess Lewis Hamilton is the most earning F1 driver, right?
No, that I think no, not really. Lewis Hamilton, I think he was, but during the last 2-3 races, it was 3 seasons was won by Max Verstappen. Right?
Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
So it definitely he has a salary of 45 million. Then because of his gaming, his prize money coming into it, so he has a total of 25 million, and that totally comes to 70 million.
Oh,
So he is in the
70
first pole position right now.
Yeah.
In 2023, as in 2023,
I mean,
he is in the
Hamilton
pole
might be
position.
close, right?
Hamilton, yeah, definitely. So he comes under. He's the second person,
Yeah.
and third is Fernando Alonso.
Most probably he might overtake. It's like in the race itself.
No, I think the Red Bull team is actually doing well right now. I think.
Imagine how complicated their taxation would be because, as you mentioned, they are moving constantly from one country to another, and they are earning from everywhere. So
I mean, this is a general thing. I mean, for international taxation, there are actually two rules. I mean, it's resident rule and source rule. In this case, I mean, the source. I mean, where do they raise? That will be their source of income. And resident rule is where do they live? I mean, in which country their residence is actually.
Usually, these kind of most celebrities or kind of Formula One races, they usually live in tax havens, right?
Yeah, I mean, most of
Monaco.
them live in Monaco. That's it, Monaco. But
all the rich are living in Monaco.
the thing is, like, even though they're not taxed in the resident rule, they might be taxed in the source rule where they
Source,
actually
yeah.
raise.
But there is a fun fact about Monaco, right? It's like even if a person with a Bugatti is coming, there is always some person
Always
richer than
someone
the other
richer than
person
you.
Richer than
who's
you.
coming with a bigger car or
But
like a
when
price
speaking about
car.
Bugatti, I mean, we know that the Formula One car is the fastest. We believe so. But I think in a straight road, Bugatti is actually faster than Formula One car.
I think Formula One cars have the ability to turn at high speeds.
I mean, because of a cost cap, and there are many caps. I think there's a weight cap is there. I mean, many caps are there, like in engineering side.
Many
So I don't think
attributes.
they can't make it too fast, considering all the cost and also the engineering and also the weight caps and all.
Yeah, if Lewis Hamilton's interview, he was mentioning that even if he is increasing by just 1 kilo, then the overall speed has been reduced
Reduced
by,
by, yeah.
I think, 2
Okay.
kilometers
That's
per
it.
hour.
It's all
Yes.
about, it's a game of precise
No,
calculation.
you have
right?
seen
Exactly.
their training, right? I mean, they
The
mostly
G4.
training
Yeah,
with
their
necks.
reflex is so
I mean,
famous.
they're mostly training with their necks. I mean,
Yeah.
the amount of G-force they face when they turn. I mean, obviously the cart is moving at 350 km per hour and taking a sharp turn. If they're going to the left, the G-force is forcing them to go to the right. So basically, they can't move to the right because they have to focus on the road. So basically, what happens? They have to obstruct the G-force with the face. I mean, with the neck.
And is that fact true that they lose the weight after?
Yeah, I don't
everything?
actually know the amount of kilos, but that is
Yeah,
true.
it's like 4 kilos for 1.5 hours.
That's so.
of
racing.
The pressure
They-
that's get excited during the game is so great, right?
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
Yeah, and we pretty moved to the track.
yeah, we should
were
come to behind the tracks.
behind the tracks. Yeah. So we were actually Ruben was actually talking about the source rule and the resident
Yeah.
rule of taxation. So it's like the driver, let's say a UK driver driving in UK, he has to remit the taxes in UK, and when it's like the game is hosted in Qatar, again he has to pay the taxes in Qatar because of the source rule. Why the game is being hosted in Qatar?
Even though he might be living in Monaco.
He may, even though he may be living in Monaco. So it's like he have to end up paying in taxes in the UK and again in the Qatar. Like he had to deal with multiple countries. You know, during a financial year, he has to go UK and pay taxes, then come to Qatar to
He might
end
not
up his
need to go,
returns
but-
liability. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Dude, that's
the-
so
the-
complex, right?
Yeah, the
That's
tax matters are actually making this the earning part of the drivers bit complicating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
then
think
he
if-
should be familiar with all the DTA provisions.
Yeah.
So, as in our case,
DTA
our
is the double taxation avoidance.
Avoidance
avoidance
agreement, yes.
exactly. So our company is situated in UK, so we have the DTA
Yeah.
agreement, and we are getting relief in India.
That's what I mean. When you mention, I mean, the drivers obviously can't focus on where to pay the taxes. They'll have to focus on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, the track actually.
They'll probably have their own financial setup, right?
I mean, like us.
Yeah, so it's fascinating how the accountants play greater
Vital role,
in,
I mean.
yeah, vital role. So it's not about it's the players. The drivers has to comply with the provisions. Still, they have to look at the taxes. They have to
That's
focus
it.
on lots of things.
The importance of off-field, off-track financial game. It's actually it's a not even indirect. It's have a direct impact on their performance on the track. So basically, the F1 car can be called as a finely tuned financial machine.
Exactly.
So it's all about racing, right?
Yeah,
So
the
it's
balance between, like as we started at the first, it's supposed to be a balance between everything, not
Yeah.
just the engineering or the technical thing. It's supposed to be a balance between the tax,
Budgeting.
finance, budgeting. It's a bulk lot of things to
Yeah.
get balance
Yeah.
ultimately.
So it's actually a financial race. It's actually a tax race. It's actually the
Logistical
F1 is
race.
it's a logistical race. It's a race in totality as such.
Yeah.
So I think Finbook can be the best pit crew for any.
And we are familiar with all the DTA provisions
Yeah,
in different
exactly.
countries.
So we
And
can
we
be the
even have partners around the world also.
Yeah.
yeah. So I think we can be the best pit crew for any small scale owners or
Yeah.
Or even
any kind
growing
of
businesses.
business and growing businesses. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's it.
So let's not end it here. Let's keep the chat going on with FinChats.